If she's going to report me to the police, if that's how she wants to play it, I'll report you right back. And I won't go to the police. I'll go to the Justice League. After processing the fact that someone called the police on me, believe it or not, this has never happened to me in my life. I tweeted back, I wrote, "Officer, I'd like to report a joke." This woman, you may remember, she's the one who endorsed fringe conspiracy theories and repeatedly indicated support for executing prominent Democratic politicians. Now she's dialing 911 because she got made fun of.
Obama, amnesty. Amnesty, Obama, amnesty.
What kind of president needs a no card to answer a basic and predictable question?
But did Jimmy Kimmel just break Marjorie Taylor Greene? That's the question everyone's asking after his sharp Klan mom joke sent her running, not to the press, but to the police. And just when you think it couldn't get more ridiculous, Trump barrels in with demands that might have you laughing or crying. This story's got everything: comedy, drama, and legal twists. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now, back to the video. What does it take for someone like Marjorie Taylor Greene to call the police? You'd think it might be a serious threat or some kind of scandal bubbling up, but no. It's just a late-night comedian doing what they've been doing for decades, cracking a joke. Enter Jimmy Kimmel, who managed to send Greene into full panic mode with his quip calling her a Klan mom. Seems innocent enough, right? Well, not to Greene, who decided this joke was such a dire issue she had to inform the Capitol Police. Yes, the same Capitol Police who deal with real threats against elected officials were dragged into sorting out late-night comedy routines. Let's set the scene. On his show, Kimmel was doing what he does best, poking fun at public figures. Referring to Greene, he jokingly called her a Klan mom, a not-so-subtle jab tied to her history of eye-roll-worthy statements, ranging from promoting absurd conspiracy theories to cozying up with extremists. The joke wasn't exactly groundbreaking. If anything, it was tame compared to some of the sharper barbs we've heard on late-night TV.
She tweets. After she saw it, she tweeted, "ABC contacts my employer. This threat of violence against me by Jimmy Kimmel has been filed with the Capitol Police." She called the police. This afternoon, she wrote, "You weren't joking. You hide your misogyny and your racism behind your jokes on ABC. This was a dog whistle to the violent left to assault me or worse, and you're..." Misspelled "you're," of course. On our show Tuesday night, MTG, Klan Mom as we call her, earlier in the day, called 3 of her fellow Republicans pro-pedophile for supporting Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson's nomination. Keep wearing a mask, while Senator Cruz replied to this, that was not written to him, "Bizarre, 535 members of Congress can attend the State of the Union without wearing masks, still not good enough for Hollywood."
But somehow, this moment spurred Greene, a politician who's built her brand on being tough, to suddenly report Kimmel like he was a rogue criminal instead of a comedian holding a monologue. Now, let's talk about that reaction. Marjorie Taylor Greene isn't exactly known for her thin skin, at least that's what she wants you to believe. This is the same woman who once filmed herself chasing after gun control advocate David Hogg, mocking him on camera. The same person who called her Democratic colleagues communists and has even shown up to rallies yelling about taking on the deep state. Greene built her political persona on being aggressive, unapologetic, and immune to criticism. But apparently even she has her limits, and those limits happen to include Jimmy Kimmel delivering one mildly spicy joke. With that call to the Capitol Police, the whole tough image began to crack. It's her quick switch to fragile mode that has people scratching their heads and laughing too. Visualize this for a second. Greene standing in front of a microphone with her fiery speeches about fighting tyranny and draining the swamp, now melting down because a comedian dared to roast her. It doesn't quite add up, does it? The police report itself seemed to be her way of showing she wouldn't tolerate threats. Except no one who heard that joke would mistake it for anything but satire. Even when she posted about it online, trying to make it seem like Kimmel was out of line, all she did was invite more mockery. One Twitter user summed it up perfectly. Calling the Capitol Police over a joke? Come on, really? To really understand why Greene's overreaction hit a nerve, you have to look at her history. Greene doesn't shy away from endorsing all kinds of inflammatory rhetoric, from shouting about Jewish space lasers to labeling vaccine mandates as a form of government tyranny. Her words are often geared toward grabbing headlines and stirring up outrage. She's openly supported controversial figures and ideologies, even when others in her party back away. But when someone like Kimmel decides to shine a light on her outrageous behavior through humor, suddenly it's too much. This is where the hypocrisy becomes hard to ignore. How does someone so comfortable dishing out inflammatory comments turn out to be completely unable to take a joke? Of course, it's worth mentioning that this isn't the first time a comedian's joke sent shockwaves through politics. What makes comedy powerful is precisely what Greene seems determined to ignore. It punches up, exposing the absurdity of those in power. Kimmel's Klan mom quip wasn't just a random insult, it was rooted in Greene's own long list of polarizing and problematic statements. Think about the symbolism here. Someone who's pushed conspiracy theories and embraced divisive rhetoric couldn't handle 5 seconds of late-night banter. Her reporting the joke to the police almost reads like satire itself, as if she were providing Kimmel with fresh material on a silver platter. But here's where things get even crazier. This isn't just about one politician feeling a little bruised. Somehow, this relatively minor joke sparked a national conversation. Democracy and satire both hinge on the ability to question and criticize public figures without fear of retaliation. If a small joke can provoke such an explosive reaction, what does that say about the so-called strength and confidence Greene projects? And on a larger scale, when public officials use their platforms to suppress humor, even humor directed at them, it makes people wonder what they're really afraid of. That's the key takeaway in this circus-like saga. Greene's over-the-top response didn't just make her look bad. It reminded everyone that even the loudest politicians aren't as invincible as they seem. The fallout from this incident is a reminder that satire has a way of cutting through arrogance and bravado. It's like a test of character, and honestly, Greene didn't pass. But hey, she's not the only one whose fragile ego couldn't take the heat. That's right, Donald Trump is about to enter this comedy feud, and you won't believe what he had to say about Kimmel. If there's one thing Donald Trump hates more than losing, it's being laughed at on national television. And late-night comedians? Oh, they've turned laughing at Trump into an art form, and he knows it. So it's no surprise that when Jimmy Kimmel tossed a few jokes about Marjorie Taylor Greene this week, it didn't take long for Trump to jump into the fray with his usual flair for overreacting. He didn't just call Kimmel a terrible comedian, he actually demanded ABC fire him, as if canceling Jimmy Kimmel Live would somehow heal his bruised ego and maybe restore whatever shred of dignity he thinks is still floating around. Now, Trump feuding with comedians is practically a genre at this point. Jimmy Kimmel, Stephen Colbert, Alec Baldwin, you name them. Trump has beefed with them. Kimmel's been on Trump's bad side for years, but not for anything particularly groundbreaking. A few monologues here, a parody skit there, and boom, Trump's rage meter maxes out. Back in 2016, while Trump was still calling his campaign the greatest of all time, Kimmel mocked him with bits that poked holes in his self-image as a big deal. Trump threw a fit, labeling Kimmel terrible and unfunny. Because naturally, if Trump doesn't find it funny, it must be objectively bad. This pattern with Kimmel isn't unique though. It's part of how Trump views comedy. He doesn't see it as satire or humor. He takes it as an insult wrapped in a laugh track. If there's one consistent theme, it's that Trump expects everyone else to take his insults, but he reacts like you've stolen his ice cream the second someone takes a jab at him. But back to his demands to fire Jimmy Kimmel. This isn't just petty, it's legally laughable. Comedy, especially political satire, is protected under the First Amendment. You don't have to like a joke about you, but you can't cancel someone over it no matter how rich or thin-skinned you are. Case in point, the Supreme Court's ruling in Hustler magazine versus Falwell. That case protected parody as free speech after Hustler published a fake ad about Jerry Falwell, a public figure. The court essentially said public figures can't get an easy pass on criticism, even if it's satire. If Trump were to genuinely try to sue Kimmel or pressure ABC to drop his show, he'd be swimming upstream against a river of legal precedents. You have to wonder though, what all this says about Trump's relationship with criticism and power. It's not just about a bad sense of humor, it's about perceiving anyone who mocks him as a threat. His obsession with controlling the narrative, whether it's through lawsuits, tweets, or grandiose demands, reflects a deeper insecurity. For someone who claims to be tough, Trump's constant feuds with comedians showcase just how fragile his ego is. A good joke can rattle him more than a full-on political scandal, and that's not just funny, it's telling. And while this might seem like just another round of Trump versus comedy, the stakes are bigger than punchlines. We're talking about the role of humor in checking power. Late-night hosts have historically used comedy to call out political absurdity, something Trump clearly finds uncomfortable, and his support for silencing critics, whether it's through firings or lawsuits, sets off alarms about how much he really values free speech when he's the target. His feud with Kimmel isn't just an ego battle, it's part of a larger fear of being held accountable, and that fear is showing no matter how many tweets or labels he throws out to mask it. But this feud, as laughable as it is, has another layer. Trump's reaction reveals how much power comedy holds in cutting people like him down to size. The louder they outburst, the more you know the joke landed. The Greene-Kimmel saga may have sparked this fire, but Trump just threw gas on it and made it clearer than ever why satire matters. And believe me, this story is only getting funnier and more absurd from here. Trump's reaction followed the same logic. This isn't the first time he's flown into a tantrum over late-night criticism. His attacks on Kimmel follow a pattern we've seen before. Whether it was him trying to shut down Alec Baldwin's Trump impersonations on Saturday Night Live, or ranting about Stephen Colbert's monologues, it's all rooted in the same insecurity. Trump doesn't see jokes as just jokes. To him, they're challenges, threats to his carefully constructed image. That's why he takes every dig personally, even when it's a silly nickname or a parody sketch. Humiliation is kryptonite for someone so desperate to be admired. But this battle between public figures and late-night comedians isn't unique to now. Historically, humor has always been about speaking truth to power. Remember Jon Stewart's legendary run on The Daily Show? He turned relentless critiques of the Bush administration and mainstream media into can't-miss television, guiding countless viewers to look closer at the absurdities of politics. Before him, there was Will Rogers, who made an entire career off exposing political nonsense through humor in the early 20th century. And let's not forget Richard Pryor or George Carlin, who tackled everything from government corruption to social issues with biting wit. These comedians weren't just entertaining, they were making people think. And they could do this because satire is a protected form of free speech. The First Amendment gives comedians the space to push boundaries, to mock, to exaggerate, and yes, to offend. The Supreme Court has even confirmed this. In the landmark case, Hustler magazine versus Falwell, Jerry Falwell, a religious leader, tried to sue the magazine for an offensive parody ad. The verdict? The court sided with Hustler, making it clear that public figures can't cry foul just because a joke lands uncomfortably close to home. That ruling wasn't just about one magazine ad. It laid the groundwork for every late-night monologue and political parody show that's flourished since. Without that protection, Kimmel's Klan mom jab could potentially lead to lawsuits or silencing. That's not just a hit to comedy, it's a hit to democracy. Think about it. If people like Trump and Greene had their way, and comedians who mocked them were fired or censored, what would the political landscape look like? Imagine a world where SNL skips political sketches out of fear, where late-night hosts steer clear of mentioning lawmakers even when they're making fools of themselves. It's not far-fetched. Trump explicitly called for the firing of Kimmel, and Greene turning a harmless joke into a police matter sends a chilling message about how much public figures hate being questioned. The point of comedy isn't just to get laughs, it's to hold up a mirror to power, something leaders like Trump and Greene obviously aren't comfortable with. And let's not pretend this is just about jokes. There's a reason satire hits politicians like this so hard. It uncovers their vulnerabilities. A comedian can shatter an image of strength or competence with just the right punchline, and that scares those in charge. Laughter chips away at polished facades faster than almost anything else. Greene and Trump's reactions aren't bizarre when you realize they feel threatened. Kimmel wasn't just making people laugh at their expense, he was challenging their authority. A good joke isn't just funny, it's often a warning shot. It says, "We see through you." There's also a practical reason why comedy plays such an essential role in holding power accountable. People tune out dry speeches or dense articles, but put the same ideas in a joke, and suddenly it's accessible. Humor doesn't just entertain, it informs. Late night shows, satirical websites, and even viral social media memes have become ways to cut through the noise. It's why shows like The Daily Show or Last Week Tonight are often cited as sources of news for younger audiences. It's not that people don't care, it's that comedy makes complicated topics digestible. So when someone like Trump insists on silencing comedians or Greene tries using law enforcement to police jokes, it's about more than egos. It's about control. Silencing satire doesn't just protect their feelings, it insulates them from scrutiny. Every joke that lands marks an audience laughing at them, thinking critically about their words and actions. For someone in power, that's the real danger. The laughter isn't just ridicule, it's resistance. Kimmel's Klan mom joke caused an outsized reaction because it nailed something essential about Greene's public persona: the dissonance between the tough image she projects and her thin-skinned reality. Trump's equally absurd demand to cancel Kimmel underscored the bigger issue. Humor terrifies people like them because it lets everyone in on the joke. The people in power aren't as untouchable as they want us to believe. And that's why comedy isn't just funny, it's vital. Marjorie Taylor Greene and Donald Trump's overreactions to Jimmy Kimmel's joke prove one thing: humor hits where it hurts most, the ego. When public figures crumble over satire, it's not just funny, it's revealing. Greene's police report and Trump's call to fire Kimmel show how fragile self-proclaimed tough leaders can be when mocked. But this isn't just about bruised feelings. Satire shines a light on hypocrisy, and protecting it isn't just about laughs, it's about defending our right to question authority. So the next time you hear a joke about a politician, remember, it's doing more than entertaining, it's keeping them in check.